Hello there, this is Peter Beckenham, the Village Marketer, and in today's quick little video I want to share with you what I regard as a really practical but really very simple way of getting things done. I've called it Practical Planning Process, the PPP, alright? And this is basically what it is. I learned this from two great marketers, Phil Newton and Sean Donahue, but actually it's been around for ages. And I remember even at university looking at this, probably one of the most practical things I learned at university anyway, right? And this is what it's all about. If you're starting a new business, or you're starting a new project, or you're starting a new task, one of the things you've got to fight against, right, is procrastination. In other words, putting things off until tomorrow. If you're guilty of that in any way, shape or form, join the club. There's many people with you. This process I'm going to share with you will help you avoid that problem. All right. Now, hopefully you can see me as I'm writing on the board. I've never actually used a whiteboard on a video before like this. So let's see how I go. All right. Let's say this is where you are right now. Okay. At this particular point here, and this is where you want to be. Okay. Whatever that may be. And this is how you're going to get there. These are the steps you're going to take to get from where you are now to where you want to be, whatever that may be. All right? Underneath that, what we have is your foundation. What are the things you have now? What are the assets? What are the resources that you can call upon right now? And underneath that, we can put, let's call it your bucket, right? And that's really what else you need in order to get from where you are here to where you want to be, all right? Now, the key part of this is the critical bit. You've got to make sure this bit here is really clear, really clear. You need to have this very, very spelled out. What does this destination look like? Right? What does that actually look like? The clearer you can make it, the easier it's going to be. And then what I'm suggesting you do is you work backwards. From where you want to be, what do you need to do? What are the steps you need to take in order to get from where you are, this is where you are now, right? From where you are now to where you want to be. Okay? And of course, make that clear. Where you want to be, all right? Now, in your foundation, as I mentioned before, these are your assets. For example, maybe it's an email list you've got. Maybe it's your skills you've got. Maybe there's some tools you have. Maybe there's some templates you've got. Whatever resources you have right now that can help you get from here to here in this task or in this new business journey or whatever it is, list off what they are in here. These are the assets you have right now, all right? I mean, let's give you a simple example. Let's assume you wanted to open a shoe shop, right? You know, open a shoe shop. What do you need to do? Okay? Well, in order to be clear about what you want, you need to decide what type of shoe shop it's going to be. Is it going to be upmarket shoe shop, or is it going to be just mum and dad's type shoe, family shoe shop, whatever it may be, okay? Because that will determine a couple of things. Things such as the location. That will be one of the factors you need to put in here. What are the steps you need to take? You need to decide on a location, right? You need to decide on the type of stock you're going to use. You need to decide on, what else could there be? You need to decide on point of sale material. You need to decide on perhaps advertising, promotions, etc. you're going to run. All these things are steps that you need to put in here. And what you do by working backwards, as I said before, by working backwards from where you want to be to where you started from, then you'll come up with all these things. Now, they may be out of order. That doesn't matter, okay? Because what you do is by listing them off here, by working backwards, you'll identify what are the key issues: location, stock, point of sale, ads, whatever it may be. And then you can decide which is the most important ones. And you put, okay, location. Maybe that's the key issue first, right? So that could be the first step you take here. Location. And then you do the research. Should it be on the main street or should it be in a side street? Depending on the type of shoes you're trying to sell, for example, right? But so you do research on the location. And that's maybe the first step you'll take. That'd be a critical step. Perhaps another critical step, maybe before you even decide on the location, is to do some research as to whether in fact it's viable to have a shoe shop in the first place. Right? So that could even become in here before you decide on the location. You do some research about the actual market itself. All right? So you can see where I'm going with this anyway, right? Now the other thing I'm suggesting you do is when you come up with the particular steps to take, for example, I'll just get that out of there. We're talking about, in our example, a shoe shop, okay? When you come up with the steps, let's say it's research, the viability of having a shoe shop, then the location, then the type of stock, then the point of sale material, then the ads, whatever it may be. Maybe you look at finance, okay? What sort of rent you're going to pay, etc. When you're doing that, you can break each one of these down as well. Okay? What sort of research, what sort of location, what sort of stock, okay? And that, and you can have smaller subtasks of these, right? And when you've done that, I can tell you then the job of starting from here and getting to there is much clearer. It's much clearer for you, and all these little subsets or these little subtasks you've got there will make it easier for you to take the first step, not to procrastinate. That's the point I'm really getting at. And by the way, one thing I think I'd say to you is this. I have a mantra, okay? And the mantra is, do it today, fix it tomorrow. Do it today, fix it tomorrow. In other words, don't try and get everything perfect before you launch something, okay? That's because it's never going to happen. And by the way, and don't say, look, I'll start tomorrow, because that'll never happen either, right? Do it today. Take action today. Push it today, and then fix up any issues tomorrow. And what I'm suggesting to you is this, that if you can get 80% of it right, okay? Not 100%. If you can get 80% of it right, and 80% of the steps that you need to take in order to get from where you are to where you want to be, okay? That's pretty darn good. That is really good, okay? So I would snap yourself from the back and think, yes, I can do this. So each step doesn't have to be perfect, right? And it's the old 80-20 rule, okay? The Pareto principle. Get 80% of it right, okay? And do it. Get going with it, okay? The other 20% you can fix up if it's critical. Okay, maybe you want different pictures, whatever it may be, okay? This 20%, don't let it stop you from getting things done. A lot of people use this 20% as an excuse not to get things done because they want to get it perfect before they launch it, etc. A lot of rubbish. Don't do that. Get the basic steps done. That gives you a clear direction of where you want to go. And by the way, this raises another issue. If you come across some other particular things during this process, right? Let's say it's out here somewhere or up here somewhere, and they're not in the steps of the direction you've agreed upon. These things here are probably a distraction, right? They're probably shiny object syndromes. They're probably for sure going to stop you being efficient because they're going to take your focus off the steps that you've decided upon that's going to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So the idea of having this very simple approach will also help you avoid the shiny object syndrome. It works for me, and I hope it works for you. So there you go. That's my practical planning process. You know? And really the idea is to adapt and overcome. Okay? Come up with the steps that you know you need to take by working backwards to start with, right? And then put down the steps you need to take in priority order. Break down those steps into sub-steps So then they're really easy, small tasks, which removes the tendency to say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow because it's a bit hard, right? The smaller the tasks are, the easier they are to achieve, the more likely you are to take steps, right? And no more procrastination. And then you take these steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, away you go, all right? Does it work? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope you found this helpful. Okay, talk to you next time. Bye for now.